Hazrat Ismail alayhi wasallam is regarded as a prophet and the ancestor to the Ishmaelites in Islam. He is the son of Jabrahim, born to Hajar. Ismail is also associated with Makkah and the construction of the Kaaba. Ismail is considered the ancestor to Muhammad. Ismail is the figure known as Ismail in Judaism and Christianity. These sources include the Quran, Quranic commentary, tafsir, hadith, historiographic collections like that of Muhammad ibn Jarir al-Tabari, and Israeliyat, Islamic texts about biblical or ancient Israelite figures that originate from Jewish or Christian sources. The story of Hajar, Hagar, and Izmi is a central narrative in Islamic tradition, closely intertwined with the story of the Prophet Abraham. Ibrahim and his wife Sarah were longing for a child, but Sarah was unable to conceive. In their old age, Ibrahim prayed to God for a righteous offspring. His prayer was answered when Sarah miraculously conceived and gave birth to their son, Ishaq. Later, at God's command, Ibrahim took Hajar as his second wife. Hajar bore Rahima, son named Izmi. The family lived in Canaan, in present-day Palestine. In a significant test of faith, Ibrahim received a divine command from God to take Hajar and Izmi to a barren and desolate valley near the future site of the Kaaba in Makkah, known as the Valley of Bakka. Ibrahim, trusting in God's plan, obediently followed the command. Upon reaching the valley, Rahim left Hajar and Izmi with only a small amount of provisions. Hajar, a devoted and resilient woman, asked Ibrahim if he was leaving them there by God's command, to which Ibrahim affirmed. She replied with unwavering faith, "Then Allah will not neglect us." After some time, their provisions ran out, and Hajar searched desperately for water to sustain herself and her infant son. In her anguish and desperation, she ran between the hills of Safar and Marwa 7 times, seeking any sign of water or help. Miraculously, a spring of water, known as Zamzam, gushed forth at the feet of the infant Izmi. This spring provided sustenance for Hajar and Izmi, and it remains a sacred site for Muslims to this day, a symbol of divine mercy and provision. The story of Hajar and Izmi exemplifies unwavering faith, trust in God's plan, and the miraculous provision of God in times of need. It is commemorated annually by Muslims during the Hajj pilgrimage as they retrace Hajar's footsteps between the hills of Safar and Marwa as part of the rituals of Hajj. Birth of Hazrat Ismail. Ismail was the first son of Abraham, his mother was Hajar. There are many versions of the story, some of which include a prophecy about Ismail's birth. One such example is from Ibn Kathir, d. 1373, whose account states that an angel tells the pregnant Hagar to name her child Ismail and prophesies, his hand would be over everyone, and the hand of everyone would be against him. His brethren would rule over all the lands. Ibn Kathir comments that this foretells of Muhammad's leadership. Ismail and Hagar, Hajar taken to Makkah by Abraham, Ismail and Hagar being taken to Makkah by Abraham in Islamic texts is an important part in the story of Ismail, as it brings the focus to Makkah and as the beginning of Makkah's sanctification as a holy area. Islamic tradition says Abraham was ordered by Allah to take Hagar and Ismail to Makkah, and later Abraham returned to Makkah to build the Kaaba. In many of these accounts, the Sakina, something like a wind or spirit sent by Allah, or the angel Jibril, guides them to the location of the Kaaba, at which point Abraham builds it, and afterwards, leaves the other two there. Other versions discussed below say the construction of the Kaaba occurred later and that Ismail took part in it. Generally, it is said that Hagar asks Abraham who he is entrusting herself and Ismail to as he leaves them. He answers that he is entrusting them to Allah, to which Hagar then makes a reply that shows her faith, stating that she believes Allah will guide them. Hagar and Ismail then run out of water and Ismail becomes extremely thirsty. Hagar is distressed and searches for water, running back and forth 70 times between the hills of Al-Safar and Al-Marwa. Hagar is later remembered by Muslims for this act. During the Hajj, or pilgrimage, in which Muslims run between these same hills as part of the Soi, When she returns to Ismail, she finds either him or an angel scratching the ground with their heel or finger, whereupon water begins flowing and Hagar collects some or dams it up. This spring or well is known as Zamzam. At some point, a passing tribe known as the Jaram sees birds, a bear which she circling the water and investigates. They ask Hagar if they can settle there. Allows, and many versions say as Ismail grew up he learned various things from the tribe. There are numerous versions of the story, each differing in various ways. The versions used in this summary, as well as others, can be found in Al-Tabari's history and are recounted in Reuven Firestone's Journeys in Holy Lands. The sacrifice, Abraham sacrificing his son, Ismail, and Abraham cast into fire by Nimrod. A miniature in the 16th century Ottoman Turkish manuscript Zubdat al-Tawarik. While the Tawrat, the Arabic language name for the Torah within its context is an Islamic holy book, mentions that it was Isaac who was bound. Some Muslims believe that Abraham was told to sacrifice his other son, Ismail, though the Quran does not mention the name of the son. The multiple versions suggest that the Dhabi was originally an oral story that had been circulating before being written as it is in the Quran and in additional commentaries. Norman Calder explains, oral narrative is marked by instability of form and detail from version to version, and by an appropriate creative flexibility which makes of every rendering a unique work of art. Each version is, indeed, a unique work of art, differing from another in various ways to present certain ideas, such as the importance of Ismail over Isaac because he was the first child. The general narrative pertaining to Ismail describes the sacrifice either as a test or as part of a vow. Some versions tell of the devil trying to stop Allah's command from being obeyed by visiting Hagar, Ismail, and Abraham. Every time the devil says Abraham is going to sacrifice Ismail, each person answers that if Allah commanded it, they should obey. Eventually, Abraham tells Ismail about the order and Ismail is willing to be sacrificed and encourages Abraham to listen to Allah. Often, Ismail is portrayed as telling Abraham some combination of instructions to bring his shirt back to Hagar, bind him tightly, sharpen the knife, and place him face down, also that there will be no wavering in the resolve to obey Allah. As Abraham attempts to slay Ismail, either the knife is turned over in his hand or copper appears on Ismail to prevent the death, and Allah tells Abraham that he has fulfilled the command. Unlike in the Bible, there is no mention in the Quran of an animal, ram, replacing the boy, rather he is replaced with a great sacrifice, Dibin Azim. Since the sacrifice of a ram cannot be greater than that of Abraham's son, and a prophet in Islam at that, this replacement seems to point to either the religious institutionalization of sacrifice itself, or to the future self-sacrifices of the Islamic prophet Muhammad and his companions, who were destined to emerge from the progeny of Ismail in the cause of their faith. Every Eid al-Adha once a year Muslims around the world slaughter an animal to commemorate Abraham's sacrifice and to remind themselves of self-abnegation in the way of Allah. Later historiographic literature incorporates the biblical narrative in which a ram is provided, which is slaughtered instead of Ismail. The actions of Ismail in this narrative have led him to become a prominent model of hospitality and obedience. This story in the Quran is unique when compared to that in the Bible because Abraham talks with his son, whichever it is believed to be, and the son is thus aware of the plan to become a sacrifice and approves of it. As noted above, in some versions, Ismail makes sure in different ways that neither he nor his father hesitate in their obedience to Allah. In this way, Ismail is a model of surrendering one's will to Allah, an essential characteristic in Islam. Most contemporary Muslims hold the view that Ismail was the son who was nearly sacrificed. There has been significant disagreement among early scholars and historiographers. There are such persuasive arguments for both. In fact, it is estimated that 131 traditions say Isaac was the son, while 133 say Ismail. Such dispute over which son suggests that the story, and where and to whom it happens, is extremely important. It is argued that the story originated from rabbinic texts and was adapted to Islam over time in order to give Makkah religious importance and connect the story with the pilgrimage. Arguments by early Muslim scholars for Ismail as the intended sacrifice include that Jews claim it is Isaac only because they are jealous that it was actually the ancestor of Arabs, Ismail, and that the horns of the ram that was sacrificed instead hung in the Kaaba at one time. In looking solely at the text of the Quran to determine which son was to be sacrificed, there still are various views. The strongest case for Ismail in the Quran is that directly after the sacrifice narrative, Abraham is told of the coming of Isaac's birth, therefore, it must be Ismail who was about to be sacrificed. Authentic hadiths are said to not contradict each other because that negates the definition of the hadith. Construction of the Kaaba, at some point, often believed to be after Hagar's death, Ismail married a woman from the Jaram, the tribe who settled in the area around Zamzam. Abraham visited Ismail in Makkah, and when he arrived at his home, Ismail was not there. Instead, Ismail's wife greets Abraham, but she was not welcoming or generous to him. Abraham instructed her to tell Ismail some version of the statement that he was not pleased with or to change the threshold of his door. When Ismail returns home and his wife told him that he knows it is from his father and, taking the advice, divorced the woman. He then married another woman from Jaram. Abraham once again visited and was met by Ismail's second wife, as Ismail was out. This wife was very kind and provided food for him. Abraham instructed her to tell Ismail some version of the statement that he was pleased with the threshold of his door. When Ismail arrived and his wife repeated Abraham's statement, Ismail knew it was from his father and kept his wife. Many versions of the construction of the Kaaba that differ in fairly significant ways. Although all have Abraham build or cleanse the Kaaba and then immediately after, or at an unknown time, Allah called Abraham to establish the Hajj, or pilgrimage. These narratives differ in when these events occurred, if and how there was supernatural involvement, the inclusion or omission of the black stone, and whether Ismail assisted his father. Of those that say Ismail took part in the construction, most describe Abraham visited Ismail a third time in Makkah, during which they raised the Kaaba. Some say Ismail looked for a final stone, but Abraham did not accept the one he brought back. Instead, an angel had brought the black stone, which Abraham put into place. Ismail was left at the Kaaba, in charge of its care and to teach others about the Hajj. The starting of the Hajj has many versions, and some scholars believe this reflects the late association of Abraham with the Hajj after Islam had developed to help remove its connection to early pagan rituals. Career, Muhammad meets the prophets Ismail, Ishaq and Lot in paradise. From The Apocalypse of Muhammad, written in 1436 in Herat, Afghanistan. Ismail is considered a prophet in Islam and is listed in the Quran with other prophets in many instances. In other verses, such as 21 to 85 and 38 to 48, Ismail is praised for being patient, good, and righteous. A particular example which describes Ismail individually is, and call to mind, through this divine writ, Ismail. Behold, he was always true to his promise, and was an apostle of Allah, a prophet, who used to enjoin upon his people prayer and charity, and found favor in his sustainer sight. As a descendant of Ismail, Muhammad is the prophet and continues the line of prophets from ancient times. Analogy and association with Arabs. Ismail's place as the founder of the Arabs was first stated by Josephus. As Islam became established, the figure Ismail and those descended from him, Ismailites, became connected, and often equated, with the term Arab in early Jewish and Christian literature. Before Islam developed as a religion, Ismail was depicted in many ways, but after its establishment, Ismail was almost always seen in a negative light in Jewish and Christian texts, as he becomes the symbol for the other in these religions. As the Islamic community became more powerful, some Jewish midrash about Ismail was modified so that he was portrayed more negatively in order to challenge the Islamic view that Ismail, and thus the Muslims, were they favored descendants of Abraham. This became the genealogy according to Jewish sources and the Bible, in contrast with the genealogy of Arabs according to Muslims. The development of Islam created pressure for Islam to be somehow different from Judaism and Christianity, and accordingly, Ismail's lineage to Arabs was stressed. Some Christians believe that Allah fulfills His promises to Ismail today by blessing the Arab nation with oil and political strength. In pre-Islamic times, there were three distinct groups of Arabs: the Baida, Ariba, and Mustaba. The Baida were the legendary Arabs of the past, while the Ariba were the southern Arabs. Ismail's descendants became the northern Arabs known as the Mustaba or the Arabized Arabs. The Mustaba were described as Arabized since it is believed Ismail learned Arabic when he moved to Makkah and married into the Arabic tribe of Jaram. Ismail's line is then traced from his son Kedar, then down through to Adnan, then to the Mustaba, to the Quraysh. In this manner, Muhammad's ancestry leads back to Ismail, joining original biblical ancestry of Abraham with a distinctively Arab affinal stock, and connecting Muhammad with Makkah and the Kaaba. Details of Ismail's life are not as extensively documented in the Quran as some other prophets. He is highly respected within Islamic tradition for his piety and his part in the divine plan. This narration is based on the basis of Quran, Hadith, Internet, and other religious books of different religions.